So the Boston Celtics are struggling really bad right now. Last night they were historically bad. Something insane happened, which we'll get to, but I'm going to tell you today why it is the perfect time for Daryl Morey and Brad Stevens to strike a deal involving 2-5 and Jaylen Brown. Let's go. Perfect. What is going on, everybody? RB here. Welcome back into Philly Take with RB. You know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Let's keep the family growing and hit the bell so you get all the notifications anytime we drop content or go live. Today we are back and we have a lot to discuss regarding this Jaylen Brown situation as things are continuing to heat up, and last night was absolutely insane. But we start off with some breaking news for my Sixers people. That is right. Just as of, honestly, about a few minutes ago, came out from Woj that Sixers coach Doc Rivers has entered the league's COVID protocols, and now Dan Burke will be coaching tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. We will be streaming that game, so be sure to come out and hang, and we will talk about it. I'm surprised Sam Cassell did not get the nod, but I guess we went with Dan Burke, the defensive specialist. And honestly, you know, this is something you never want to see. I put it out on my community post, but I thought I would just, highlight it here. I hope Doc Rivers is okay. You know, he was worried about getting this at some point, and here we are. Pretty much every player on the Sixers active roster has gotten it at this point. And now, going even further than Doc Rivers, it also comes out from Woj that Tyler Johnson and Miles Powell are now in health and safety protocol, so they now have it. So not even every guy on the Sixers roster, but now the replacement guys that we're bringing in here, right, from the G League or via the hardship contract 10-day, and now, it's just everybody is getting it. I guess that's the reality of the situation of where we're at. The Sixers have been hit hard, but I hope these guys are all right. It seems like Shake Milton and Andre Drummond are coming back tonight, which is a boost for the Sixers, but they will be without Coach Doc Rivers, so prayers up to him, and I hope he gets well. Anyway, getting into what we need to discuss today, that is the Boston Celtics. And I've brought up this conversation a few times, the last one being maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. I proposed the idea that the Sixers need to go out and get Jaylen Brown. He's been near the top of my trade target list. I don't view it as, really likely. I mean, it would be a stretch. It would. Let me put that out there and be honest. And we have a lot of Celtics fans that tune into the channel. I appreciate all the fans from the different teams. And some of them really provide good perspective, especially for someone like me who doesn't watch all the Celtics games, but I do keep up with the team given the fact that they are one of our rivals. And, at the point of about a month and a half ago, the Celtics fans, and this is a common theme with a lot of them, they come in and, they act like everything is always together. And to be honest, it's not. Just like the Sixers right now, the Boston Celtics are really treading water, and they are on the downslide, and this has been a talk and a topic of controversy this season to see how they would perform. And the Celtics lost again last night to what they're calling the semi-Clippers because they really didn't have anybody. And the Celtics now fell to 16-19 on the season. And again, it is time to bring up this conversation, and I'm about to tell you why. Well, last night, the Celtics shot historically bad. Terrible. Look at it. 4 for 42 from deep. 4 for 40. In 9.5%, the second worst in a game with 40-plus attempts. Shout out to StatMuse, by the way. They are always on top of it in terms of the stat game. 9.5% on 42 attempts from three? Now, look, in the past couple years, I've poked fun at the Boston Celtics because let's be honest, they've gotten really weird with some of these fits. And now I know Brad Stevens is in charge, and, it's been a little different. But with a new head coach, Ime Udoka, by the way, former Sixers assistant, and we were making the joke how they were trying to recreate the former Sixers, right, with Josh Richardson and Al Horford. I mean, they have Al Horford playing at the 4, Rob Williams at the 5, and there are a lot of awkward fits with the Boston Celtics. They needed a big man last year. They went out and got Evan Fournier, and it didn't make sense given the tandem that they had with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Now, we know both of those guys are really skilled and talented, but I'm telling you, and I've been saying it, like, it just doesn't seem like those two are going to be able to win. And I don't believe that either one is solely the problem. I think it's the supporting cast, but nothing seems to mesh and fit. Going even to a crazier realm about last night, Jaylen Brown, shout out to StatMuse again, had the most shot attempts without an assist since the three-point era began in 1980. Jaylen Brown had 36 shot attempts last night without an assist. He had a terrible night, and he wasn't sharing the ball. And we've heard a lot of things in recent history about the Celtics and their locker room and how they feel about each other. And it just seems like, I don't know, at least from my perspective, that these guys are kind of on an island. And it's weird. It really is. Like, Jaylen Brown has really developed into a nice wing, a guy who can play on both sides of the floor, can, create his shot. He's just a really good player. And Jason Tatum is the same way, even though he has some off nights, but they just can't mesh. And I've said for the longest that they have been lacking a point guard. They've been lacking someone to kind of get it all together. They've tried to bring in different pieces from my memory, Kyrie Irving. They had Terry Rozier, who was pretty decent for a while, then he left. And then they had the whole Kemba Walker experiment, and none of it works. I feel like they need a pure point guard who can just not rely on scoring the ball too much, but just get it and help facilitate Jason Tatum and the other guys on the offense. And, again, they've had a lot of weird fits, and that's where I come in with the whole 2-5 thing. But before that, even something crazier, a couple days ago, I think this was about 3 to 4 days ago, the Celtics had lost a game, and Al Horford, of all people, by the way, follow me on Twitter at RBPhillyTake. I said Al Horford finally contributed for the Sixers for once, a couple years later, right? But Al Horford pretty much came out and said that the team was searching for their identity and they have to look in the mirror. And apparently Jaylen Brown was kind of asked about those comments from Al Horford, and he denied it. He said searching and looking in the mirror, nah, no comment. So honestly, things seem very rattled in that Celtics locker room. It doesn't seem like anybody sees eye to eye. It's interesting because Al Horford is supposed to kind of be like that veteran leader, and I don't know. I mean, it just does not seem like Jaylen Brown is really satisfied with where he's at right now. I'm not going to assume that. I'm not going to say it's confirmed this or that, just how I'm perceiving it. And I don't know, man. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I think it's time to break them up. I think they need to break them up if they're not going to be able to get the right core around. We all knew the Celtics had a weird strategy going into this season. But again, it's just not working. And, in terms of a 2-5 trade, people are going to say right away, well, they shot historically bad. Why would it make sense to bring in a guy that doesn't shoot? That's a very fair point. And that's probably why, you would say no to this type of trade. But then again, as I look further and I talk again about the whole point guard thing and just needing a guy who, could play really good defense and who could help the offense out and just help things connect more without getting too involved in terms of scoring, I think 2-5 would be good in that manner. Now, of course, the Celtics would probably try to survey more athletic guards, maybe a guy like De'Aaron Fox who could, create his own shot. But if it came down to it, and I know it would be weird between the Sixers and Celtics, but I really do think Daryl Morey has probably been nagging the heck out of Brad Stevens. I hope he's calling him up every single day, because as we get closer to this trade deadline, I really think that 2-5 would make the Celtics better right now. And I think that Jaylen Brown would really make the Sixers better. I honestly think Jaylen Brown, like I've said before, would make this team a contender this year because he's going to give you 25, 27 a game. He will instantly step in and be our number 2 option, can create on the floor, can help guys out. We've really needed that wing, that small forward for how long? Who knows at this point. But Jaylen Brown fits the mold. I feel like he fits the mold of Philadelphia as well in terms of just the kind of players that we enjoy. He's gritty, he's tough. Last night he had a quote or something about, just playing bad and shooting bad. He was honest as heck. I feel like Philadelphia would really value a player of his caliber. And despite all the Celtics fans that come in here and they want to act like their team is all put together and they're going to be fine and they have, they're talented and stuff. Well, let me tell you something, okay? Sometimes you got to break things up. Sometimes things don't work. And now, how many years is it going on of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown together? And the Celtics are trending in the opposite direction. So I wouldn't put it past anything happening at the deadline. I honestly would not put it past them. I think it could be a possibility. And I think if he is available, I think Daryl Morey needs to very highly consider, throwing in young players, pick swaps, whatever it would take to get it done, because I think Jaylen Brown would really put the Sixers team in a lethal position to try to go out here and contend this year. So that's kind of how I feel about it. You know, again, there are things on the negative side in terms of 2-5, his development and all. Would that fan base really be willing to take on a player like 2-5? That's another question. And I get it, and that's a fair argument. And I'm not saying this is, you know, an automatic thing or anything like that, but I do think it needs to be considered. You know, swap us something that's hurting us for something that's hurting you, and let's make it work. Let's make it work. Daryl Morey, go out here and get this trade done. Whatever it takes, however you can get it done, go out here and execute, man. That's just how I feel. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. The Celtics shooting historically bad as a Sixers fan is always great to see. Give me all your thoughts. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Catch y'all later tonight, man. And like always, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.